Sports Central will be going over another schedule preview for this 2020 offseason, and it's going to be over the Tennessee Volunteers. This is a team that really improved over the season in 2019, ended up finishing off the year at 8-5, and they finished off with a 5-game winning streak as well. So this is certainly a team that that you need to watch out for in 2020. I'll go over more about that in a little bit. But nonetheless, here are the games that Tennessee has had since November. They played UAB on November 2nd, beat them 30-7. Also beat Kentucky on the road 17-13. That was a close game there, but ended up winning it. They also beat Missouri 24-20 on the road, good win there. And then 28-10 against Vanderbilt, and then 23-22 against Indiana in the Gator Bowl. So they were able to win a bowl game. They also had a couple of really good wins in there. Actually, the second part of the season was a bit easier than the first half, but then again, for them to be able to improve the way that they did over the season, certainly it's something to watch out for going into this offseason. As for the trend for Tennessee, between September and October, they were 3-5. So this team was 3-5 at one point. And from November to the postseason, completely undefeated, 5-0 is how they finished off the season. Here are a few key points for Tennessee going into this offseason as well. They returned quarterback Jarrett Garantano at quarterback, so that's really good, of course. And then they returned their top running backs Chandler, Jordan, and Gray. And all three of these guys were very important at some point in this season. Ty Chandler had 718 yards and 3 touchdowns. Eric Gray had 654 yards and 5 touchdowns. And then Tim Jordan had just about 500 yards as well and a touchdown. So all three of these running backs were very big for Tennessee, and it's going to be really good for them to be able to return all of them. That's going to be a huge help. They do lose their top wide receiver, Juwan Jennings, who had over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. So that's honestly probably their biggest loss for the entire season going into next year. They do lose their second wide receiver, Marquez Callaway, too, as well, though. He had over 600 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then their top returning wide receiver is their third, who is Josh Palmer, who had just about 460 yards and 1 touchdown as well. So really the wide receiver core is taking a couple hits, no doubt about it, losing their first and second wide receivers. But this offense definitely looks good next season. I think that if Jarrett Garantano can play well and these running backs also can improve, this offense honestly could be very dangerous in the SEC, no doubt about it. They also lose 2 on the offensive line, 2 linebackers, and 1 safety on the defense. So they lose 4 starters on the defense, which is moderate. That's not a terrible number. That's usually the average for most teams. So nonetheless, Tennessee should improve on the defense as well. They lose their top tight end, Dominic Wood-Anderson, too, but he didn't have a very big impact on this team. He had just about 300 yards and 1 touchdown, so he wasn't putting up big receiver numbers like we see from some tight ends. But this team has a ton of potential in 2020, no doubt about it. I think that this Tennessee team could honestly be a dark horse in the SEC East, and no one's really talking about them right now. I have seen it in a couple of way too early polls so far this offseason. Some people are putting Tennessee in their top 25s, and I've got Tennessee in mind as well. I think that Tennessee has a ton of potential to do some really crazy things. But once again, it all wraps back to how Jarrett Garantano plays. If Garantano can play well at quarterback, and also these running backs can continue to improve once again, and also the wide receiver position. If Josh Palmer can rise up, I think that this offense could certainly be one of the best in the SEC East. No doubt, I think Tennessee's got a ton of potential. Here's the first look at their schedule for 2020. They start off the season against Charlotte on September 5th. Should be a win there. And then they face Oklahoma the next week. Should be a really interesting game there. Watch out for that one. It's going to be tough, though, since it is in Norman. If he was in Tennessee, though, I'm telling you what, that could be a crazy game. I think Tennessee would have a chance to win that one. But with it being in Norman, don't get your hopes up for that one. But certainly, I think Tennessee has a lot of potential to stick with Oklahoma in that game, no doubt. And I'm not going to be picking most of these games yet. I'm going to be picking the most obvious wins nonetheless. But next up, they got Furman on September 19th. Should be another easy win there. Florida is at home as well, September 26th. A really interesting game there. They face Missouri the next week, then on to South Carolina. Then they face Alabama and Arkansas, so that October is a little bit bumpy there. And then the November honestly isn't all that bad. You face Kentucky at home. Georgia on the road is going to be your main test in November. And Troy and Vanderbilt should be 2 easier wins, as I've got here. These are your 4 wins that I think are guaranteed. I think you'll easily beat Charlotte. I think you'll also easily beat Furman. With them being at home, and also Tennessee looking to be a very improved team. I think that honestly they could get up to 8 wins this season. They also could. I'm predicting 8-4 to 10-2 right now, and that certainly would be an improvement. If they can get up to 10 wins, that would put them in contention to possibly go to the SEC championship game, and that would be wild if they did that. But nonetheless, I think if Tennessee is going to be able to make it to the SEC championship game, I mean, you really got to beat Florida and Georgia. Those 2 games are very important for Tennessee next season, as both those teams are in their division. So if they can get wins over them and send Florida and Georgia to 10-2 as well, that gives Tennessee the tiebreaker, and that sends them on to the championship game. So and honestly, that Florida game on September 26th, watch out for that one. That certainly could be a win for Tennessee. Your real test is going to be against Georgia on the road. That's one to watch for as well. Nonetheless, let me know your thoughts on Tennessee in the comments below. That is about it for this video. Once again, we're going to be going over Tennessee once again in the summer once we get towards the season and we start to know a little bit more about these teams. And then that video, I'll go over every game, and I'm going to give Tennessee my actual prediction for the season. So, nonetheless, stay tuned for that. Thank you guys all for watching. Let me know once again what you think of Tennessee early on in the comments below. I also know it's very early on. I mean, that's what a schedule preview is. It's just a quick little preview to tell you what the season could look like for that specific team. It is late January, I do know. But nonetheless, once again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys all for watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central, and I will see you all later.